Makeup on and you're not coming back into class. Bleaching your teeth, smiling, flash, talking trash under your bra. Bleaching your teeth, smiling, flash, talking trash under your bra. Bleaching your teeth, smiling, flash, talking trash under your bra. Bleaching your teeth, smiling, flash, talking.
Throughout the history of cinema, queer folks have had to fight for inclusion and representation. Often relegated to laughable fools, monstrous villains, and characters that lack nuance and authenticity, that trend has thankfully been reversing for gay, lesbian, and bisexual people. Change has been much slower for trans folks, though, who have had to fight hard for the very recognition of their existence in popular culture. Though there have certainly been strides made in recent years, a huge problem has been the lack of transgender voices behind the scenes, which is why it is so encouraging to see the rise of director Jane Schoenbrun as not only a successful filmmaker, but a bona fide auteur. Schoenbrun, who is non-binary, garnered critical acclaim with their debut in 2021, a creepypasta-inspired psychological horror film called We're All Going to the World's Fair. They were able to parlay that into a deal with A24 to make their sophomore feature, I Saw the TV Glow, which was released wide in theaters this spring. While World's Fair has trans themes running through it, as well as Jane's special interest of the ways in which we interact with screens in the internet age, I Saw the TV Glow makes its trans allegory a bit more explicit. The film is also far more formally impressive, with Schoenbrun using that sweet A24 money to craft a visually stunning depiction of the trans experience that wears the influences of David's Cronenberg and Lynch proudly on its sleeve. Though like World's Fair, the film has been categorized as a horror film, Schoenbrun has proven themselves to be a wildly inventive and singular voice whose films defy simple genre classification. I Saw the TV Glow centers on Owen, played by Justice Smith, a socially awkward kid going through high school in the American suburbs. Long fascinated by a late-night supernatural adventure show on the young adult network called The Pink Opaque, Owen bonds with an older classmate, Maddie, over the show. Played by the captivating Bridget Lundy-Paine, Maddie is an obsessive fan of the show and starts taping episodes for Owen since he is not able to stay up and watch it. The two are spellbound by this Are You Afraid of the Dark style show about two teenage girls using their mystical powers to fight a cadre of monsters of the week attempting to whisk them away to another dimension. Sometimes the Pink Opaque feels more real than real life, Maddie tells Owen at one point, and it's an observation that becomes far more true than either of them anticipate. The show becomes an escape hatch from the boredom of the suburbs and the pain of their family lives. But that escape hatch also soon becomes a mirror that they refract their very identities through, avoiding the horror of actually confronting their true selves. Then one day, Maddie disappears, and the Pink Opaque is unceremoniously canceled, leaving Owen alone to face all that he's been avoiding. The thing that I have adored about Schoenbrun's first two films is their incredible ability to communicate tone. In I Saw the TV Glow, a deep, ineffable feeling of isolation and melancholy pervades the entire film. It's a latent terror that has been with Owen for most of his life, and Schoenbrun masterfully brings us into that feeling. Visually, they do this through patient, deliberate camera movement, uncanny imagery that makes us question the nature of Owen's reality, and heavily shadowed lighting that adds to the near-constant feeling of dread. In addition, Smith and Lundy-Paine speak in low, hushed tones that helps to convey the gloom that they feel inside, and suggests that they have a secret they aren't telling us, or themselves. In a word, Schoenbrun somehow communicates the feeling of dysphoria. It's a feeling that trans folks know well, and though I can't personally attest to the accuracy of Schoenbrun's depiction, scanning the reviews from trans people on Letterboxd, it seems I Saw the TV Glow pulled it off. One reviewer named Julie even used her review to come out as a trans woman, a not uncommon event in the reviews for this film. She wrote, "Watching I Saw the TV Glow tonight, I saw myself up there on screen in a way I never thought I'd see in a film. My exact experience with dysphoria had been perfectly, devastatingly articulated. It's a film rooted in the feeling of realizing your body isn't yours. Your life isn't yours. The memories you thought were happy and normal now feel false, like you were seeing someone else's memories the whole time, and you were just not a real person, a spectator in your own life." Reinforcing this depiction of dysphoria is what I like to call suburban malaise. Schoenbrun sets the entirety of I Saw the TV Glow in a nondescript hollow suburb of Anywhere, USA, and it is Owen's entire world. It's just the suburbs, Owen reassures Maddie at one point when she suggests that there is something much darker going on around them. The perfectly trimmed lawns, the sickening green hue that covers the walls of their high school, the empty streets, and the lonely houses that don't seem to have any occupants, there is something unnatural about their surroundings. Owen has lived his entire life here, but what if this eerie suburbia is a false reality? What if he is a stranger in a strange land? When we think of America's suburbs, we often think about the general concept of the American dream. A nice house with a white picket fence where a wife and husband reside with 2.5 children. It's an image of white cis heteronormativity, and it's the reason suburbia is often depicted as exclusionary to non-white and queer people. Owen is right, it is just the suburbs, and that's the problem. He is stuck in a reality that is not his own, a reality that rejects him. It is in the pink opaque where Owen and Maddie find their true reality. But while representation in pop culture is certainly valuable and can be a catalyst for understanding oneself, I Saw the TV Glow is a testament to that in itself, it can become a crutch. We can become so absorbed in living out our lives through the kinship we find in characters on screen that we fail to look inward. We can fight so hard for those characters to represent us that we fail to fight for real power to change our material circumstances. Maddie comes to understand this basic truth and takes action. For Owen, the journey is longer and more complicated, with Schoenbrun fearlessly depicting a trans coming out story that eschews the gloss Hollywood has often put on it, when they've deigned to depict it at all. The reality of coming out, or as trans folks say, of cracking your egg, is messy. As we see with Owen, it can happen in fits and starts, because of how terrifying the prospect is. Grappling with your gender identity means confronting yourself in a way that few of us are willing to do. It means accepting that everything you thought you knew about yourself is not entirely true. As Julie said, it means realizing that your body is not your own. On top of that, the external pressures are immense, as we live in a world in which rabid hatred for trans people is rampant. So it can feel easier to keep living the lie than face such an onslaught of bigotry from the outside world. Using the imagery of horror and examining the nostalgia of 90s kids' TV shows, Schoenbrun effectively submerges their audience into Owen's dysphoria and the dilemma he faces. The journey is not sugar-coated. It is difficult, chaotic, frightening, and it can take time. But ultimately, in Owen's story, Schoenbrun shows us both a cautionary tale of the alternative of continuing to live the lie, and the fulfillment that can come from finally living in your truth. I know from the experiences of my trans friends how arduous the process can be. There is still time, a colorful chalk design tells us, in one of the most transfixing shots of the entire film. Time for Maddie, time for Owen, and time for anyone who is questioning their sexual or gender identity. Everyone's timeline is different. Believe me, I know. I Saw the TV Glow is not always an easy sit. It forces you to grapple with its complex questions, deliberately attempts to perturb its audience, and Schoenbrun's style is incredibly specific in a way that likely won't work for everyone. But with excellent cinematography, a tremendous soundtrack, gripping performances, and a singular vision from an emerging auteur, I Saw the TV Glow offers a space to ponder deep questions of the soul and fulfilling representation for a community that is so often overlooked. In short, Jane Schoenbrun has made a film that represents everything I long for in cinema. I'm giving I Saw the TV Glow 5 out of 5 stars. It is currently available on VOD.